Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Your City, Your County. I'm Bob Gray, and it's a real pleasure to be with you again today. We have a very interesting guest today with us, first time that we've talked to her, and her name is Cathy Kolbeck, and Cathy is the Algoma librarian.
Hello.
Cathy, very nice to have
Happy
you
to
with
be
us
here.
today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you bet. Thank you for coming. I'm going to ask you a question right off the
Okay.
bat for anybody who doesn't know you. How long have you been the librarian here in Algoma?
Well, I began as a children's librarian in the fall of 2015, and then I became director of the library in the spring of 2017.
Okay,
So,
so that's
Just under 3 years as director.
a bit of experience. Do you need special training? Did you go to school for this?
You do. You can either have your master's in library science, or you can have a bachelor degree, which I have, and then I also have my library certification that I got through UWM.
Okay,
So-
well, very good. That takes a lot of work.
It is, but
Yeah. What kind of courses do you take as if you're in librarian training?
you can take courses on cataloging and circulation. There's courses on budgeting and programming, just anything you can think of having to do with the library.
Okay.
It's very beneficial.
Very good. We were talking earlier when you first came in about programming. What type of programming does the Algoma Library offer?
We have a lot of programming. I would say almost every day of the week we have something going on. As far as programming, I have 3 different librarians. We have our adult librarian, Katie, who is in charge of all the adult programs. And then we have our young adult librarian, Berlin, who takes care of our young adult programs, and children's librarian, Diana, who takes care of our children's programs. And they work on theirs separately, and they also do a lot of family programs and work together.
What would a typical program, let's say for adults, what would
Sure,
that be?
I think we have about 4 or 5 different book clubs. There's a mystery book club. We actually just started a book club at Steel Street Hops, which is a local, bar brewery, and they we just partner with them, and we go there once a month. We have a cookbook book club, or patrons they'll all get the same cookbook, and then they'll each pick their own recipe. It's sort of a potluck, and they get
I
together.
think I'd like
They
that.
get together and have sort of a potluck. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of fun. We have afternoon matinees for adults once a month.
That would be a movie of
A
some
movie. We
kind?
show either a new release or maybe a classic, depending on what we decide. And they can bring their lunch and enjoy their lunch while they watch a movie. We have internet hour once a week for people to bring in their devices, and we can help them if they have any questions with email or anything like that. So there's always things going on.
Yeah, and we always thought of the library as a place where you just sit there and quietly read a book.
Things have changed a little bit,
Yes.
definitely. Even since I've been to the libraries, we went to the library and we would check out books. And now you can come to the library and you can still check out books, of course. You can go on the computer, Wi-Fi. You can do research, local history, genealogy research in the library. You can attend a program. We were talking about programs. We have a lot of children's and teen programs too.
Tell us a little bit about some of those.
Sure. I'll start with our young adult programs. We do a lot of programs. So for teens, sometimes we have teen games where we'll just set up some games for the kids and they can eat snacks, play games. We do a lot of escape rooms, actually, which is kind of a newer thing. And
wow.
Escape rooms are pretty popular right now.
I bet they would be.
And you can go to businesses that hold their own escape rooms for $30 or something. But we do those about once every other month, and those are family friendly. So a group of adults can come and do those. A group of teens or kids can come and do those. And it's basically, you solve puzzles to try to get out of the room. You're not locked in the room at all. But
Well, that's
it's
good,
just-
because I'd be banging down the wall.
But you're just trying to, beat the clock and try to get out. It's a lot of fun, and those are free. So you can save yourself some money and have some fun.
That
fun too.
sounds good. How does someone find out when all of these activities are taking place?
We have a monthly newsletter that you can pick up at the library. We also have a website that we keep up to date with all of our information, and that's algomapubliclibrary.org.
Okay. And what about the small kids programs?
We have a baby and toddler story time every Tuesdays, and that's geared toward young kids. Every Tuesdays at 10. We have a preschool story hour Fridays at 10. We just actually had I think it was our 4th or 5th stuffed animal sleepover, which was a lot of fun. That's probably one of my favorite programs that we hold. The kids come in with their stuffed animals and their pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
We have a short story time, and then we rock the animals to bed, put them to sleep in the library, and then the kids leave. And the fun of that program is then they go online on our Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and they see what the animals have been up to while the library was closed, and that's a lot of fun. They can pick up their animals the next day, and they get
For
a little,
some,
they get
for
a
some
little
that would be a hard thing to leave their little animals.
That's what I would have thought, but nobody's ever been
Nobody's
sad about leaving their
complained,
little
huh?
friends.
Okay.
Maybe they don't bring their favorite.
Yeah,
But-
bring the auxiliary
Exactly.
friend along.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
Okay. Wow, that's pretty exciting. I know that a lot of libraries have gone to special rooms where they have history, local history, that sort of thing. Does the Algoma Library have that?
we have a lot of local history that's not in a room, but it's most in one part of our library. So we have something called House Histories. I don't know if you've heard about our Algoma House Histories or
No,
not, but these were compiled by Hans Nell and the late Wes Cox. So they took all the houses in Algoma and researched them and put them, and we have all of their history in binders for all the houses in Algoma up to I think 2009 they stopped. So
we don't.
binders and binders. We also have all the histories of houses that are no longer in Algoma but once were. So those are houses no more. They did a lot of work. I think that took them quite a few years to compile all of that information. It's pretty amazing. So it would have like the original owner, and then who would get it next, and if there was construction, whatever they could find on a specific house, it's in that binder. So if anybody in Algoma wants to find out the history of their house, come to the library and we can help
And
them find it.
I suppose you have different degrees of information. Some you might have pictures,
Exactly.
I suppose, and others
He did.
just some
Yeah,
real basics.
Mr. Nell told me he would go. They went around and took pictures of houses, and
Wow.
they used to in the newspapers years ago. They used to report a lot of these things when houses would, change owners, things like that. They don't do that as much anymore. But so they were able to find a lot of things in our microfilm, which we have. That's another part of our local history. We have all of our microfilm, our Algoma newspapers on microfilm up to the early 2000s. So, and we have 2 microfilm machines, so people can come in, look at old newspapers. We also have some indexes, birth indexes, death indexes, and obituary indexes. So if somebody's looking for a specific name, they can look in the index, find out which newspaper it could have been in, and then we could help them go to the index or to the microfilm and find their information.
That's fascinating. It really is. And as we get more and more away, I guess, from having newspapers, we certainly don't see as many as we used to, and
Right.
they don't have the information that it's something we're going to be missing. But at least we can look back
right.
and see when those were more popular, more common.
So, right,
and
we
see
have
what
them up
happens.
until on microfilm early 2000s, but we also have them online, so people can look on our website. We have a tab where people can go online and look at the newspapers up to 1960, and that was done through a donation from the Johnson Trust. So we were able to do that with a nice donation,
Oh,
thanks
cool.
to the Johnson Trust.
Yeah, it's something we'll miss as we go forward, I'm sure. Well, how about community outreach? I'm sure there are some people who just can't make it to the library. What do you do for them?
So our adult librarian, Katie, goes to the Algoma long-term care once or twice a month. So she'll bring stories and she'll read to the residents, Sometimes she'll do coloring with the residents or maybe some other kind of activity. Our children's librarian does a lot. She goes out to the Algoma school once a week and she reads to the kinders over there. She also goes to St. Mary's and St. Paul's about once a month. And we also have some classes that just, since we're right next door to the elementary school, they come over once a month too and have like a little story time and see what we've got going on a lot. And then our young adult librarian, she does a book club with the kids at Pathfinders, which is part of the Algoma High School. It's more of a alternative school. So everybody's doing things in the community, and we're always looking for more opportunities, things to do in the community.
And
so.
Pathfinders is more the specialized kids that might need a little extra
So
service.
we do a book club with them once a week.
I'll be darned. You know, this is so exciting for me because, you know, when I was going to the library, it seemed like it was a place where you sat very quietly and you just read and then you left and you didn't say anything. I remember and remember having it forced into me by the librarian in my grade school, the Dewey Decimal Classification System. Is that still around?
We do still have the Dewey Decimal System, yes. All of our nonfiction is categorized by the Dewey Decimal System.
Okay.
By subject.
Yeah,
It was
that's
really what the
good.
Dewey Decimal System is.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, I remember it went from, I think, 100 or something like that.
It really starts at 0.
Zero,
Yeah.
yes, 0 up to like
9.
999.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And we had to memorize what that was.
Wow.
And,
See, I'm pretty familiar with it, but there's no way I don't have it memorized.
well, I'm sure I couldn't tell you what it was anymore either, but you know, it was quite the thing, you know, and she was really a strong proponent
Sure.
of the Dewey Decimal Classification System. What about library cards? I'm gonna change my forefront here.
Okay.
The cards that you'd go in and you'd look and you'd say, oh yes, here it is, you know, in here.
The
Do you
card
still have
catalog.
those?
That's
The card catalog, yeah. Do you still have that?
We have it, however, it's online now. So everything you can look up on InfoSoup, which is our online catalog.
InfoSoup.
InfoSoup is what we
Sounds
call
another meal.
what we call our online catalog. Basically, is what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
you just type in what you might be looking for, and then it will let you know where you can find it in either our library or another library within our system, which we can talk about.
Sure.
So
Oh,
then
good.
they
Well,
can
that's
order it.
and if somebody isn't real familiar with how to use a computer, you'll help them.
Oh, we do, and we don't necessarily send everybody to our card catalog. The InfoSoup computers, we'll help them at the desk if they
Yeah.
ask.
That's good. So there's always somebody there to help.
Right, we don't expect everybody to do it themselves. We're
Okay.
happy to help.
So
Happy
you're
to
not
help.
totally automated or
No,
anything
no,
yet.
gosh.
That's good. That's what I always liked about
People come
that.
up to us all the time and ask us, "Do you have this? Can you get me that?" And we're
Yeah.
happy to help.
Yeah. And you still have the reference section,
We do.
and you have magazines. And
We have quite a few, 50-some subscriptions, I think, for
Wow.
magazines. I have noticed in the last few years that we've been losing a lot because much of it is going online and becoming digitized. So a lot of magazines are just, ending.
I suppose
the
they
physical
just
copy
yeah
is
you,
ending.
you don't see
Right.
them there
So,
anymore.
but we do have magazines that people can either check out or sit in the library and read, as well as the newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
So the Press Gazette, I know the Press Gazette gets more expensive every year, and many people just come in just to read it in the library, sit and read our newspapers.
What other newspapers do you have?
The Press Gazette, we get the, the Door County.
Pulse or the Daily News?
The Daily, yes, and
I mean,
the
Advocate.
The Advocate, yes, thank you. We get the
Sure.
Milwaukee Sentinel,
Mhm.
and then the New York Times we get donated to us. Somebody brings that to us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, that's nice. So you can really get a good cross-section and you don't have to go out and spend
no,
money.
you don't. You
if
can just come
wanted
and
to.
check out the highlights. We have
Do that.
many people that just come in. Some just want to read the news or check out the sports highlights. Many
Mhm.
people come and do that.
Mhm. being not athletic, I don't think I looked in the sports section a great deal, but I was a real klutz, so, that's what you get.
That's
Yeah.
okay too.
That's okay. Let me see. Now, if I decide I want to come in and I want to check out a book, do you still have library cards
We do have
that you
library
need?
cards, right. So to get a library card, all you need is an ID with your current address on it. If for some reason you just moved to Algoma and maybe you don't have your current address on your ID, we would still like to see your ID plus something with proof of address, so a utility bill or something like that. And then you just fill out a short registration form, and then we'll get you set. It only takes a few minutes to get a library card.
So in order to get a library card here in Algoma, you'd have to be a citizen of Algoma.
Right. Or it's surrounding. Anybody can as long as they have a local address.
Okay, very good. And do you still have fines? I'm sorry to ask you all
No,
these
that's okay.
questions,
That's
but
what
it's
I'm-
just
what I'm
like,
here for, right?
Gosh, I don't know what,
We
what you
do still have fines, but I have noticed that many libraries are becoming fine-free. And actually, I think Kakana is one that just was in the news quite a bit recently for going fine-free. The idea is that libraries want to give access to materials to everybody, and fines sometimes tend to put a barrier on the access to people. I think that Chicago Public Library just went fine-free. They're one of the big.
That's a big library
one.
system to be
So
doing
they're
that.
fine-free. Our American Library Association is kind of nudging libraries a little bit to go fine-free, so we can give access to everybody. Now, going fine-free doesn't mean that people still aren't accountable for their items, because we still, if they don't bring their items back, just like now, they get billed eventually if we don't see the items.
Oh,
so that
sure.
would still account, but late fees. Just the other day, I had a mother in there who her kids wanted to check out movies, a couple movies, but mom said just one movie. She said, because sometimes we get fines because I forget to bring them back. So you have that kind of barrier,
Oh, sure.
and you have there's some kids that want to check out items on their library card and maybe can't because they have fines from years and years ago. So
Yeah.
so it does put a little barrier on
Do
some.
you get many books back that were like out there 15 years or something?
Since I've been there, I haven't seen that.
You've been
but-
very strict
but-
on your
But sometimes if we
operation.
get books back, I haven't seen that. But
Okay.
I've heard
Yeah,
stories
I've
like
heard
that.
sometimes people find books from World War II
Yeah,
and
when
things like that.
That would be
you know.
interesting. But
Yeah,
no, we
well, if you
haven't.
do that, you'll have to come back and
I
tell
will
us.
tell you all about it.
Tell us all about that. Okay. Now, I understand in Algoma that there's a friends group of some kind. What do they do?
We have our Algoma Library Friends, we call them, and they are a group of they're basically volunteers who do things in support of the library. So they have their own bookstore in town called the Book Corner, which is located right across from the fire station.
Oh,
So they have
okay.
their own bookstore. They've done a wonderful job with that bookstore, and if you haven't been there, I would suggest you go in. I know it's for a used bookstore. It's pretty amazing what they've done, and they're all volunteers. And they are open Fridays and Saturdays for a few hours, 11 to 3 each day.
Okay.
So, and all of the proceeds come back to the library.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Right. So they've purchased many things for the library, things that we wouldn't have been able to afford without their help.
Mm-hmm.
We also have some of the friends that come in maybe once a month and they cover all of our books for us. So
How do they cover the books?
all of our hardcover books that have paper, like a book on it, like a cover on it, they take a plastic protective cover and put that around the books,
Oh, I
which
see.
takes a lot of time and
Oh, I would
takes a lot of
imagine.
staff time. So it's a big help when when they
yeah.
can do that for us.
Yeah.
So
Where do they get the books that they sell?
donations, so people can bring their items to the library or drop them off at the Book Corner.
Mhm.
We get quite a few book donations,
Mhm.
and sometimes we have to, as books go on our shelf for a long time, maybe without getting checked out, we do have to make room for excuse me,
I
for new
suppose you
things,
do,
we call
yeah.
it weeding. So we have to weed, we go through and weed, and we donate, those go to the book corner as
Okay,
well.
yeah.
But yeah, they have been able to purchase us some iPads, and they purchased us a new kitchen for our children's room, and a nice chair for our children's room.
Well, that's
they-
great.
they-
They sound very helpful.
They support our summer reading program
Yeah.
every year, which is a big part of what we do at the
Yeah.
library.
It seems like so many organizations are going to friends groups, whether it be a historical society or, you'll find Friends of the State Parks and
Right.
now Friends of the Libraries.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time, and they're very supportive, and we're really lucky
Oh,
to have them.
that's wonderful. How nice to get that added support.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do other ways of fundraising within the library?
We haven't yet. We haven't had a big need, so we have not. I
Okay.
think, well, I take that back. A few years ago, we did a little fundraiser for our first outdoor movie. We wanted to do an outdoor movie which can get a little costly.
Mm-hmm.
Roughly $2,000, I think.
Oh.
So we did have a little fundraiser for that. We just advertised and called for donations for that. So people were very generous, and with the donations, we were able to put on our first outdoor movie.
Where did you do that?
Right by the Legion Park,
Mm-hmm.
by the youth club.
Okay.
So it's a big screen, big
Yeah.
blow-up screen, and we show a movie. So I
Cool.
think we've done it 4 years now. And after the first year, the Community Development Committee, CDC, they were nice enough to offer funds for the last few years. So
Oh,
we've been doing
great.
that every year for 3 or 4 years. We've done it now, and we
Yeah.
plan to do it again this summer.
You do it like a movie a summer?
Yeah.
Kind of?
Yeah,
That's
it's a lot of
great.
fun. We have some activities beforehand, and it's one of our big family-friendly events.
Mm-hmm. Now, is the library, and I know you have the help of the Friends of the Library and that sort of thing, but is it supported by the community? Do tax funds go toward the library?
Yep, the library is funded by both the city and the county, actually.
Okay.
So we get
So there
funds from both.
is like a larger system, it sounds like, Kewaunee County, and then they support you, and obviously, I suppose the library in Kewaunee and various other facilities.
Yeah.
You're a part, I believe, of the Nicolay system too.
Right.
What is the Nicolay system, and how does that work exactly?
So we're part of the Nicolay Federated Library system, which is one of the library systems under DPI, which is the Department of Public Instruction. So that's how they get their funds, Nicolay. So Nicolay, we are part of 42 other libraries in this library system, spanning 8 counties in northeast Wisconsin.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you to name them all.
Thank you.
Because I know I
would
couldn't
forget.
do it.
I would forget
Yeah.
at least 2, probably. So being part of that system allows for us to have access to thousands and thousands of materials. We have resource sharing throughout all the libraries. So if somebody comes in, and if we don't have an item that they're looking for, we can find it. 99% of the time, we can find what somebody is looking for.
Now, do you have to go over and pick those up for those people, or how do those books or items that people want, how do they get to you?
We get weekly deliveries, so we get 3 deliveries a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So there's a delivery service that travels throughout all the different libraries. They have multiple vans going throughout all the different libraries, even to Washington Island. So they go 3 days a week here. Each library is different. So that's how we get our stuff. I think this morning we had about 10 to 12 bins full of items coming in, either coming in for our patrons or things that other libraries have borrowed from us and have returned.
That's a lot of material, and
It
I'm
is.
sure it's a lot of other things. What else would there be besides books in those bins?
There's DVDs, so we have DVDs, sometimes video games, there's magazines, audiobooks, all sorts of books, children's, young adult, magazines, DVDs,
Yeah.
CDs. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, that's really cool. How long now can you take out a book for, and can you renew the book? How does that work?
So checkout typically is 28 days, so you can have 28 days with a
Oh.
book. If it is a short loan, so if it's a very popular book like Daniel Steele, her new releases always have quite a few holds. Then it's 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If DVDs, however, are 1 week,
Mm-hmm.
and then CDs are 2 weeks, and I think magazines too are 2 weeks.
I'm a very slow reader, so
So-
to me, to be able to take it out for 28 days would be pretty exciting.
So if for some reason you're not done with your book in 28 days, you can either come back to the library and we can renew it for you, or you could just call us or email us and we could renew it that way too.
Well, that's a lot simpler. I always used to have to walk to the library and they'd stamp the
No,
card.
you can just give us a call. Everything is
Okay.
computer automated now. So
Good.
it makes
Wow,
makes
that's-
it pretty easy.
This is really becoming quite a simple process, you know. I think you're very customer friendly
I think so.
in comparison with some of my former librarians.
I remember when I was in high
knowledgeable
school
people.
stamping books. I
Oh,
worked at
yes.
my local library on
Yeah.
some Saturdays and would stamp
Boy.
the book. And
This is all very revolutionary. I bet you never thought somebody would say that
'cause
about
I
a
remember looking
library.
through the card catalog.
yeah.
So things are so much easier to find,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
imagine now. yeah.
Absolutely. Do you have a board that runs the library, or
Yeah,
are
we
you
have-
kind of in charge, or what
I
happens?
have a library board that is in charge of the library,
Mhm.
basically. So
Okay. And are they elected by the community or
by the
appointed,
city.
or-
They're
okay.
appointed by the city. So
Okay.
there are 7 members of the board.
Mhm.
One is from the city, so one's from the council, and one is a school representative,
Mhm.
and the rest are just
Okay.
residents in the
Yeah.
county
What
or the city.
What about, I know that many years ago, vacationing in Door County, they always had the Bookmobile.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think too many communities have a Bookmobile anymore, but I remember that was always kind of exciting to see this big truck pull up.
That's
It was a
something you don't
huge
forget,
van.
right?
No,
And
you really don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the Bookmobile.
Mhm.
I know that the gentleman who was in Brown County for so long just retired a few years ago, and that
Mhm.
was kind of a big thing. But
Mhm.
whether or not they still have it, I'm not sure. But I know that the Brown County one would come to Dykesville and things like
Oh,
that.
okay. Now, if let's say you live in Luxembourg or Casco or someplace in that area, and maybe they don't necessarily have a library, what can you do there?
We have two auxiliary branches in Luxembourg. So the first auxiliary branch is in Nicolay Bank, and I think that was open in the early 2000s
Mm-hmm.
as a way to get items from the library to the residents of the western side of the county. So then the bank hours are limited,
Mm-hmm.
so then people could only pick up or drop off during the bank hours.
Okay.
So we had one of our Kewaunee County Library Service Board members who really wanted to push to get items delivered to the grocery store, so people in that side of the county have more time to pick up their items. Maybe they work so if they work in Green Bay and come home to Luxembourg, they don't have to beat the clock before the bank
Sure.
closes,
Mhm.
because as long as the grocery store is open, people can pick up and drop off their items
Okay.
at the grocery store.
Is there like a section of books there and a section of
So what
things,
happens is
or-
once a patron gets a library card that might live over on that side of the county, they let us know that they want their items delivered there. So they come in here to our library first, and then we package them up and we send them to either the bank or the grocery store, and then we let them know when they can pick them up over there.
Okay.
So they can just get our items without actually having to come into the library.
Uh-huh. So
They
it's-
still need a library card, and
Yeah.
it works the
So-
same way, but our delivery service just delivers there.
Boy, you can't beat that.
No, they get
Next thing you know,
pick up their milk and their books all the same.
Yeah. Next thing you know, there'll be like an Uber service or something,
And could you imagine
delivering
that?
books
Yeah.
to your house, or the food thing that I forget.
Door
what
County has their libraries do that service where they
Oh,
bus to residents maybe
okay.
that can't make it in.
wow.
That's a very nice thing. Yeah.
That's great. Well, this has been truly exciting, and I really want to thank you, you know. I think too many people think of the library, again, as I kind of mentioned, as a place you quietly sit and you don't talk or anything else. But it sounds like it's changing.
It's changed a little bit. Well, you know, we get a lot of kids after school because we are right next to the school.
Sure.
And sometimes they can get a little rambunctious, and we have to remind them. But we don't mind. We don't mind chatter, and we don't mind them talking. And we want the library to feel, you know, be a safe place for them to go to. Maybe they don't have anywhere else to go after school.
Yeah.
So they come in, and one of my favorite stories, there was a couple kids playing on the computers, and maybe one was talking, not too loud, but talking, and there was an adult patron that was like, "This isn't your house, you should be quiet." And the young man, which you shouldn't, I'm not encouraging talking back to, you know, your elders, but he said, "Well, it feels like my home." So
Well,
that was a nice,
wonderful thing.
That was one of my favorite
bet.
stories. He said it felt like his home.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted
How
to
neat.
feel like, yeah.
And it's wonderful to get those kids started that way and then spend their
And then
whole lives
they'll have those
doing that.
memories, and you know, they'll always
Yeah.
remember the librarians at the library, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember mine. And
Okay, well, very good. That's going to pretty much do it, I think, unless there's something we haven't covered.
I don't think so.
Seems like we've covered the whole shooting match.
Yeah, we've got a
here.
lot going on, like you said. It's not
Yeah.
just picking out books
Well, it's marvelous.
anymore.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. You've opened my eyes too,
Good.
Cathy.
Good.
We've been speaking with Cathy Kolbeck. Cathy, thank you so much for being
Thanks
our guest.
again for having me.
Cathy is with the Algoma Library. She's the Algoma librarian and is handling the entire show over there with help from some very fine other people. We thank you for joining us today, and that's going to do it for our program today of Your City, Your County. And I thank you for joining us and hope you'll see us next time. For Your City, Your County, I'm Bob Gray. Have a great day, everybody. So long.